The original American government as of 1781 consisted of a union, a federation, and a confederation of different kinds of states and states of states, operating in different jurisdictions, and there is a hard and fast demarcation between soil/land and sea/air. The soil and land jurisdictions are populated by people, that is, lawful persons. The sea/air jurisdictions are inhabited by persons, that is, legal persons. And never the twain shall meet, like the land is separated from the sea. The only interface is located in international jurisdiction, where lawful persons populate the land, and legal persons inhabit the sea, and they may be converted either unlawfully or lawfully, one into the other. What we are doing by reclaiming our birthright, political status as American state nationals, and American state citizens, and by expatriating from all presumed, territorial and municipal citizenships, is to lawfully convert legal persons back into lawful persons. We are explicitly declaring our political status, and officially returning our good names, our trade names, to the soil and land jurisdiction of our actual states of the Union. We are doing this specifically in one-by-one serving notice on the public records of the commercial corporations operating the sea and air jurisdictions, so there can be no further accidentally on purpose mistaking us for U.S. citizens, or citizens of the United States, or citizens under the 14th Amendment to the Territorial Constitution, reconfigured as the Articles of Incorporation, for a Scottish commercial corporation that went bankrupt in 1907. So what is a State of the Union? It's the soil jurisdiction union of Republican states being referenced, which holds the underlying land jurisdiction states as possessions. You could just as well read it as state belonging to the Union in the sense of ownership, while the state itself is a member of the United States of America, an unincorporated federation of states. In the same way, the states of states that were members of the original Confederation of States belong to the states in the sense of ownership. Georgia owns the state of Georgia, which operates under Georgia's sovereign letters patent. The state of Georgia, which has been mothballed since 1868, along with all the other actual federal states of states, is an American state corporation held under sovereign letters patent. These states of states can be called federal states of states, since they belong to states that are members of the Federation of States, or they can be called Confederate states, because they are members of the States of America Confederation, formed under the Articles of Confederation in 1781. This original Confederation of States doing business as the States of America, was enabled to carry out all the business of the states in several jurisdictions: international jurisdiction of the sea, territorial jurisdiction, municipal jurisdiction, commercial jurisdiction. The States of America was a jack of all trades, operating in all the jurisdictions of the sea and the air, owned and operated by the American states and people. The constitutions were to break up the functions of this original confederation, doing business as the States of America. The lion's share of the business remained with the States of America under the actual federal constitution called the Constitution for the United States of America. To put it simply, The states chose to delegate certain powers to their own commercial corporations, which were then liable for providing the services stipulated under the Constitution. Another portion, the territorial functions and business, including control of the naval armed services, commercial fleet, trade policies, and U.S. territories, was split off and delegated to the British monarch under the territorial constitution called the Constitution of the United States of America. The services stipulated under this constitution were determined by treaties leading up to the end of the Revolutionary War, and were administered by British territorial United States inhabitants temporarily residing in our states and the District of Columbia. As part of the Great Fraud, they try to pretend that we are all United States citizens who are unpaid volunteers working for the territorial United States and its commercial corporations while temporarily residing in our own country. Finally, a portion of the business was split off and delegated to the Temple government, operated by Westminster, the so-called inner city of London, which is an independent international city-state, and part of the municipal government of Rome, under the Roman Pontiff and the Holy Roman Empire. The functions of this municipal government affiliate were severely limited to the 10 miles square of the District of Columbia. This global jurisdiction of the air entity received a separate constitution called the Constitution of the United States. Thus, the federal government was carved out of the States of America Confederation. The federal branch of the federal government was operated under the States of America, as an extension of delegated power belonging to the states and their federation, doing business as the United States of America. According to the duty, it could operate in the international jurisdiction of the sea or the global jurisdiction of the air. The federal branch of the federal government was sometimes referred to as the Republic, a reflection back to Republican states that ultimately own everything. This entity was operated by deputies, chosen by the state legislatures. Senators elected to serve as part of the federal United States Congress, and by popularly elected delegates, serving the federal House of Representatives. However, please note that the federal Congress, also known as the United States Congress, was composed entirely of Confederate states, that is, commercial corporations run as states of states, operating in the sea and air jurisdictions, as opposed to the Continental Congress, operated by the soil and land jurisdiction states. The territorial branch of the federal government was operated by the British territorial United States, as a democracy. The municipal branch of the federal government was operated as an independent international city-state, the Washington Municipality. This municipal government was entrusted to the members of the federal Congress, who were supposed to operate the District of Columbia and Municipality of Washington, D.C., as a neutral meeting ground for the states and people. The members of the federal Congress were given power to operate the municipal government as a plenary oligarchy. All of these entities, the commercial corporations making up the states of the Confederation, that were responsible for running the federal Congress and overseeing the municipal United States government, the territorial United States government, and the municipal United States government, can be called in some respect the federal government, because they are all part of the original federal government, and yet, it takes the sum total of all three functioning together as intended, to make up the actual federal government owed to the member states of the United States of America. In 1860, this entire arrangement was torn apart. The members of the original Confederation split apart. The northern states in support of the original Confederation adopted the stance of being champions of the federal cause, and became known as Union troops. The southern states which were more honest, simply reorganized a new confederation doing business as the Confederate States of America. Emerging on the other side of the mercenary conflict, misnamed the American Civil War, which was all fought by the commercial corporations that were states members of the original Confederation, the federal branch of the federal government was destroyed, and subject to reconstruction. Before that reconstruction could be properly addressed, or the population given adequate notice, the British territorial government operating the armed forces of the northern states of the original Confederation, substituted territorial states of states for the federal states of states, a cuckoo bird maneuver that took place in 1868. The original territorial constitution, called the Constitution of the United States of America, was also deceitfully reconfigured as the Articles of Incorporation of a new Scottish commercial corporation doing business as the United States of America, Incorporated. As a single commercial corporation under foreign control, the members of the new territorial United States Congress took over as a board of directors. Amendments to the Articles of Incorporation, disguised as the actual territorial constitution, didn't require ratification by the states, only approval by the deceitful traitors occupying vacant federal congressional offices under false pretenses. This is why no amendments since the 14th Amendment have ever been properly ratified by the states of the Union. This is also how the United States Senators of the Federal United States Congress ceased to function as deputies, fiduciary officers, of the states, and became instead merely popularly elected territorial United States Senators, whose only fiduciary allegiances were to the foreign Scottish corporation, masquerading as the United States of America, Incorporated. Grant, Sherman, and other Union generals were no match for the European bankers and corrupt politicians who were equally influenced by British and Holy Roman Empire agents and the American robber barons. American industrialists, especially steel, railroad, newspaper, arms, and drug/medical empire builders, who made vast fortunes during the Civil War, and who fully intended to continue to capitalize on their gains after the war. They did so at the expense of this country, and its states, and its people. And the British monarchs and the Lords Mayors of Westminster and the popes, who all owed us good faith service, sat mum and ordered their minions to do likewise. Generations of American military and police and yes, even bar attorneys, have been dumbed down and told that all of this is a matter of national security. They simply haven't been told which nation's security is at risk, and as it turns out, it's Great Britain, followed closely by Westminster and Vatican City. The gross breach of trust which has taken place has no equal in the history of the world, and the damage done to our states and our people cannot be estimated either in terms of natural resources, lives, or money lost, embezzled, and frittered away by the mixed bag of criminals, British sympathizers, banker flunkies, and fools that have sat in the territorial United States Congress ever since, all under conditions of fraud, color of law, and false pretenses. Called to account for it, John Paul II apologized, but maintained that it was our fault for wanting too many government services and not paying better attention to the corruption of the commercial corporations providing those services. Please note that the Federal United States Congress, neither before nor after the Civil War, ever had any authority to interfere with the states or the people of the soil and land jurisdictions. We were never part of the Civil War, even though millions of Americans suffered and died then, and for 150 years afterward, as a direct result of it. As long as we claim and maintain our birthright political status, none of this skullduggery pertains to us, and we are not subject to the Queen, nor the Pope, nor any repugnant legislation coming out of either the territorial or the municipal United States Congress, nor any of their numerous territorial or municipal state-of-state franchises. Above and beyond all else, this is because we are lawful persons, and they are all legal persons. When Abraham Lincoln was forced to declare the Northern States of States bankrupt in 1863, he issued the Lieber Code to the military leaders of the Grand Army of the Republic. The British territorial United States government has continued to operate under the Lieber Code, also known as General Order 100, ever since. The code has since been adopted as the Hague Conventions. Lincoln also began operating exclusively as the Commander-in-Chief of the U.S. military and exercising this power via the issuance of executive orders, a practice which is the basis of territorial presidential executive powers to this day. Thus, at the territorial level, we have a military junta and presidents of foreign commercial corporations, acting as dictators, and at the municipal level, we have members of the Territorial Congress, grossly usurping powers intended for the Federal Congress, and attempting to extend the hegemony of their largely illegal oligarchy, far, far beyond the borders of the District of Columbia. And none of this has anything to do with the American states, or the American people, except that we have been asleep for 150 years, and we have been repeatedly raped and robbed by our erring hired help. Remember to continue your education.